did it.
Are live.
Hello.
Yay.
Hello.
Hallelujah.
Well, it is us. We have arrived.
All right. There's a ad running right now, so for
No. Anyone that subscribed is not going to be seeing that ad. That's fine.
Excellent. All right. I suppose I should subscribe.
It is episode 6.
It is episode 6.
Someone change that.
Speaking of subs, yes. Auga. Sorry. Yelled at about that the other day.
I have nothing safe. I have nothing safe to say. Other than
welcome.
service. Thank you. That's it. That's all I had. That's all I had for that. Hey, look, it's baby month, Jamie.
That's right.
It's
We have
baby month.
officially given birth to all of our subscribers.
A sub baby. A subscription baby.
Right then. So how's everyone doing?
Oh man. I have gin. I'm great.
Given the fact it's what, 8 o'clock in the morning, it's 10 o'clock in the morning.
It's 10:15. Like, come on.
10:15. Okay, yeah. I can never remember which side of that hour line that it is. I know it's offset by an hour, but yes, it's 13, not 11. So yeah, okay. So.
That's a lovely color. That's a lovely color. Look at that. That's beautiful. Drink responsibly, people. Drink responsibly. 10 a.m. is good because we're going to play for 3 hours. I'm really only going to have the one drink, and then I'm going to be able, I'll be sober by the end, which will probably be good because it'll be sobering.
Given the ending of the last episode, quite likely, yes.
Yeah. So following that, I will then be able to pretend that I'm going to work. And
so, complete non sequitur, but still amusing. So I'll wander off in that direction. Speaking of, when I was over in the Persian Gulf, I was working with the Americans and the Australians. We were actually teamed up with HMAS Darwin, and the Americans, of course, run dry ships. The only time alcohol is available is to the officers and for select boardroom celebrations, essentially. Meanwhile, the Canadians and the Aussies have pop machines in their main messes loaded with beer cans. And so it was an object of some amusement to perpetually tease the Americans, who would pretty much argue and claw over each other as an option about trying to get an exchange to come visit and work on one of our ships to see how we did things for a couple of days. And mostly that involved the Aussies and the Canadians taking turns making the Americans as hungover as possible before shipping them back off to their respective vessels to dry out again.
that is...
Because the thing is for us, the only rule is you're not allowed to drink within 4 hours of a watch. Well, we were standing 1 and 2s, so we do a 4-hour watch. We'd be off for 4 hours. Then we do an 8-hour watch, and then we were off for 8 hours. So not uncommon for both us and the Aussies, with whatever worked out to be your supper that day, is have a beer, relax, and head to bed.
I mean, I don't think I'd ever experienced before I moved to Australia the concept of a boozy lunch. Mm-hmm. Australia loves like a midi, which is just like you have a pint, and then you have like another smaller thing, and then you have like this little chunkier cup that's like just specifically designed for you to drink at midday.
Yeah, it's entirely civilized.
Australians are. It's just fascinating. Anyway, that's how I am. Not drunk. Sam?
I'm also not drunk.
Sam.
But yeah, I'm good. I've been. I think I talked about this with someone. I can't remember what was it. Someone just wanted to be on Twitter about this, but I was watching Spy Family which is an anime that's come out recently. And I was expecting, based on the premise, for it to be silly. It's kind of silly, but also fun. And it is. So I was like, excellent. But what I wasn't prepared for was how like heartwarming and sincere and occasionally just like heartbreaking as well, that it will just decide to be. And I was just like, how dare you? How many is there? How many episodes do we still have? Fantastic. We're in now. Let's go. So I've been very much enjoying this silly thing about a spy who I was describing to someone. I was like, yeah, it's set in not Germany, and they're like, what? And say, well, it's essentially two countries which they mainly refer to as East and West. Pretty sure one of them is basically just Westania or something like that. So but on the first episode, the spy of the Spy Family goes to get like an information drop at a train station, and the sign to say like what station you're at says Berlin. It's like, all right, cool.
Can you point real hard at that Cold War thing a little bit harder? Yeah.
And like one of the, because it's basically just like a bizarre premise of there's three people who think they're manipulating the other two. There's three people, and each person thinks they're kind of manipulating the other two for their advantage.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah. Okay.
But none of them really feel comfortable about talking about it. But like one of them is like, there's a whole conversation where it's like, wow, you're almost 30 and you're not married. That's suspicious. Someone might report you as a spy. And it's like, and my neighbor got dragged away for that. And I was like, ooh, we're being subtle today. Good.
So that's how you are.
That's how I am. I've been enjoying shows. That's what I've been doing.
Jamie, how are you?
I'm well. I've been very busy, but I have been watching a not so recently released anime, the Promised Neverland, which has perhaps the worst season 2 of all time.
I've heard, which kind of made me stop watching season 1, which I should.
Yeah, look, season
Correct.
1 was okay. I accidentally watched the last episode of season 1 first, and I found it very compelling. As like, I mean, this is not a big spoiler to say that the whole show is about kids trying to escape from an orphanage. I'll leave it at that. But the whole first season is them planning their escape, and you don't need any of it. Like, it's all there in episode 12. You just.
I was just going to say it's a heist movie that takes 11 episodes to set up. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, it's ostensibly about the tension between them and whether they will actually get there, but.
Oh right, so like it's a Russian play. Like over 12 episodes.
As someone who's been obligated to read Anna Karenina, I can't argue with you.
Like, it's every Chekhov.
Yeah, except all the characters are between the age of 5 and 12.
It's every Chekhov.
So some Chekhov.
Emotionally, every Chekhov.
Yes, that problem about chronological age versus Chekhov's age, yes.
Yeah, the only difference is that they're all precociously intelligent. So.
Oh yeah, that is a difference. That is a difference. About precociously intelligent children, I've been watching Kotaro Lives Alone, and my heart hurt.
Oh my god, that
hurt me so much. It hurt. No, it hurt. Don't do it. It hurt. It was basically my soul. Don't do it.
It looks so good. I'm very excited to make my heart hurt watching that.
Oh, sorry, I interrupt you though. You were going to say something.
Rewatching Naruto, and I forgot how sad it was.
Yes,
I've never watched,
particularly watching it as an adult. Was just like,
yes,
it's like, oh right, it's about child soldiers dealing with trauma. I forgot, Slash
Yeah.
didn't realize that.
Yep.
It's interesting to me because I watched a terrible Netflix mecha anime. I don't even remember the name of it. Something to do with revisions. I think it was called.
Mm-hmm.
Terrible. Do not watch, especially if you like mecha anime at all, because it entirely missed the point of what the mecha anime genre is, which is like anti-war. It's exactly what you were just talking about, Sam. It's about the trauma of children being forced into
Giant
war,
robots.
into giant
I was
robots.
going to say, hi there, Iron Blood orphans, looking at you.
Yeah, but I mean, it's every single Gundam. It's got a little bit of wow, cool robot on the side, but like the whole point of the genre is like
don't do it.
war is horrible. Stop doing it.
Yeah.
And this was like the most weirdly American gung ho. The kids are so happy to be going to war and fighting the future because, of course, we have time weirdness in our show. And
Hey, there's nothing wrong with time weirdness in a show. I'm just saying.
there isn't when it's
just saying.
like interesting.
To be
Oh.
fair,
This was
Yeah, that doesn't.
they were doing it for college credit, so
yes, they were going to war for the credit.
College.
Well, please understand, it's literally the entire premise of Panzer Girls, and High School Fleet.
Yeah.
Panzer Girls. I wasn't ready for Panzer Girls.
I don't think I am ready for Panzer Girls. You know what I am ready for?
Oh, you want to play a
They'll
game,
tell us
don't
how
you?
they're going. So we
Oh,
can play a game.
yeah. And I was to finish my point is the second season of Promise Neverland is literally Deus Ex Machina on top of each other every episode until you reach the final episode in which they rescue some other kids, and then 3 seasons happen in a 4-minute montage with no sound except like music. And it's very clear that the people making the anime either didn't have the budget or didn't want to make the rest of the show, but they had 4 seasons worth of manga to like shove into these 4 minutes and then wrap up with a little bow. And it's just the weirdest thing ever. I was like, I am shell-shocked by how bad this storytelling is.
I think I saw a review once which was like, man, that first season of Promised Neverland is some of the best anime I've ever watched. It's a real shame they never made more.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, Highlander trauma.
Yeah. Anyway, so other than being, disappointed in anime, I'm very well.
I'm glad. I'm glad you're well.
Big Eyes Gin Glass. I mean, that's a whole anime moment right there.
It's really nice gin. This one I'm going to have more of. Very nice. Michelle.
Yeah, disappointingly, I have not been watching anime lately. I've been dodging CV19 and taking class.
Taking
it feels
class?
that way. Yes, taking a class.
What are you taking a class in, dear?
Short story writing.
Oh, very nice. Very nice.
Yeah,
How have you been finding it?
Wow.
Oh dear. Question. I've opened a can of worms.
Here's the thing: is that it's been interesting because my sweetheart asked me, like, why are you taking this? I said, well, because all I do is long form story writing. The instructor tells us that a short story is 5,000 to 6,000 words, and I call that a chapter. Like, I can't do an intro in 6,000 words, let alone put a whole story. And my sweetheart kind of looked at me and said, do I need to remind you of all the short stories you were writing for fanfic back in the 2000 to 2006 period, which were literally making people on forums cry?
I'd
What?
do it.
So I went back and I spent a good chunk of the past 3 days crying over stuff I'd forgotten and written. It's like, oh wow, whoever wrote this was really. Oh wait a minute, I wrote this. This is awesome.
That's always fun. That's always fun. We enjoy that.
So it's been amusing. The course is really good. I'm enjoying it a lot. It just works out that unfortunately, the instructor has managed to unerringly ping every piece of classic short story writing that I despise reading, with the absolute singular exception so far of The Secret Life of Walter Mitty, which I absolutely adore. But other than that, it's been The Village, Painted Door. It's been all of these 1910 to 1930 interwar period, gothy, unpleasant, shocker kind of endings that are grim and broody. And unfortunately, I can read the first 1,500 words, see all the foreshadowing, guess the ending. And so the first time I read them, I didn't like them, and it turns out that opinion hasn't changed any.
The nice thing about that, this has now become a writing class. The nice thing about that is that, or writing group, the nice thing about it is that when you do that, you start to understand exactly why you don't like something and the narrative reasons why you don't like it. It's a really nice exercise. Like whenever I get a review from any, or for anything, like if I get a review from because I've been acting in something, or a review from like as a writer, it's fascinating because I'm like, oh, anything this reviewer writes I disagree with, so that means that if they don't like something, I know what I'm going to see. Like actually that's how that is how I formulate. There's some reviewers that I'm like, they hated this, they hated this, they hated this, I'm off. I'm seeing that.
I have a friend like that where he was just like, man, this film was absolute trash. I was like, what was it called again?
Yeah, tell me more, because that's how I know.
Yeah, but like I say, but it's been fascinating because a couple of the other students in the class are very American, by which I mean they seem to. I'm of the opinion that you can emotionally dislike something but appreciate its technical brilliance, and all of the pieces that we're studying are technically brilliant. They are classic examples of tempo, of pacing, of foreshadowing, of using folklore, all of these things that if you're trying to convey a book, if you're trying to get 13 chapters in less than 13 pages, you got to lean heavy. And so from that perspective, they're all brilliant. I just don't like any of them. Like the emotional response is, oh God, this again.
Here we go.
But they're all technically brilliant pieces. But it's been really interesting because a couple of the class discussions have been this obvious failure to understand the idea that I can appreciate even appreciate the emotional response that I give from a technical perspective. Whereas for them, it's to them the technical and the emotional, that's all. It's good, it's bad.
I feel like I'm starting to feel like we need to move on. We need to move on. But I'm starting to feel like that is an ADHD thing, because that happens to me a lot where people are like, oh, you said you don't like this? Oh, then it must be awful. And I'm like, no, it's actually really good. I don't like it, but I appreciate it. Or I can appreciate what you said, but I don't like what you said. I'm not angry at you for saying it. I just didn't like it.
Yeah.
Like I don't have to like everything. Not everything's for me. Not everything's designed for me. That's
when I was doing writing at uni, we'd have like the tutor was essentially just workshops, and everyone would submit a draft. Like a number of people would submit a draft each week, and you'd read it and give feedback. And then usually we're just sitting in a circle, and you'd often get situations where people would say something, and we had like essentially code to like, I agree with that, or I disagree with that. So we weren't like just saying the same thing over and over again. And there was a one-person story, and everyone was just gushing about how amazing the story was. Like people had favorite sentences. It was like, oh, this one line was amazing. And it got to me, and I was just like, so reading this made me discover that I hate second person. I hate it. I hate it so much. And so that's all I got. I regret that I wasn't able to experience it on the same level as everyone else, because I hated it. And a couple people were like, "Oh, I guess you could maybe change it a bit and change the tense." And I was like, "Whoa, hold up!" And I was like, I can't remember now what the word we used was, but I said the disagree one, and everyone was like, "No, you just," and I was like, "No, 24 people just told you how great this was. One asshole's telling you that he didn't like the tense it was in. Don't change it. What are you doing?"
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Disliking isn't the same as thinking it has no value. There are a lot of things that have value that I simply dislike.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of just is the case.
That's
like
the whole
Ch5.
That's the whole point behind personal taste.
Yeah, exactly.
Personal. So
Personal
so the writing class has been really, really fascinating to me, because it's gotten me sort of mentally thinking in that space again. I mean, I've written 3 novels, and I'm halfway through a 4th one. And so mentally, I had just stopped thinking in short stories, for lack of a better way of putting it. So the combination of, interestingly enough, part of what drove me towards taking this course was this game, because I'm very used to doing role-playing games as long-form fiction, where if I take 8 sessions to develop a gotcha plot moment, that's okay. But the reality is I need to tighten up my storytelling a lot as a GM, I think. So it was just an opportunity to get back to an art form that I've largely set down and walked away from. And I had in fact forgotten I even practiced it all until, like I say, my sweetheart Chrissy kind of went, "You used to be good at this. Go read your old stuff."
That's kind of cool.
Yeah. So it's been not a bad week beyond the
beyond
the worry that the entire house had COVID.
That one.
And if people wanted to find said old stuff,
are you free? Is this where we're going?
I will double check. It might be on my website, actually, michelvaillancourt.com, michelvaillancourt.com, I think under library. But if it's not, I know I have some stuff there, but the piece in question that Chrissy really absolutely adored was called Family Ties, and I can't remember if it's up or not. If it's not, I'll just put it up.
Sweet. Should we play some games?
Yeah, let's play a game.
Okay.
Oh, by the way, because of course I was live streaming this evening, I bit my tongue while I was eating supper, so I'm slurring slightly, and that's why. It's not because of gin.
That's one of us. Let's have an intro. We're back. Hello, everyone.
All right, then. I will try not to do anything in that tonal range again. So.
All right.
So, Alexandre, it seems to me that you and a couple of your closest friends were on a guest list. Do you remember any of that?
Yes, I was on a guest list, which they were not on the guest list, actually. Just to point that out.
Okay.
Important.
Yes.
Technically, we were.
Yes, it's
Because
on a guest list in the same way that Chevalier was on a wanted poster. Same way. Same thing.
And
in the sense that ultimately they were the most important thing on the list.
Yeah.
In the sense that they were
and
also there.
Superfluous.
Yes. So yes, there was a guest list.
Was like Alexandre and whoever Alexandre has decided to bring.
Correct.
Yep.
I could have decided to bring my backpack and my backpack would have entry.
Instead, you brought a mob.
I brought an angry mob instead, yes. I don't think they're angry. I think they're quite cool, but things change. We walked in and there was a dying/dead person whose soul is being consumed. Yeah. And I could not make La Chanson work, but I don't know if that was because I was outside, because I was inside, and La Chanson is waiting outside because it is a temple. But La Chanson hates this place, hates it, and decided to essentially stake a claim on my soul, which is,
Awkward.
uncomfortable, to say the least. So yes, Cavs McGee is right in front of us. And everyone is going to see us if they haven't already.
Yes, you were existing in that narrative space where, for lack of a better way of putting it, everyone was busy being evil and hadn't noticed y'all walk in up until right about as soon as we're done the intro.
Oh, keep it going forever.
Hit the button. Hit the button.
Just let us creep out while the intro is happening. just backward a little.
It's just like, how did you escape? Well, I distracted them with the intro.
I just played the intro a second time.
See, we leveled up. We leveled up recently, and I took the feat fourth wall break.
Yes, I can do this.
Yes, Ryan.
While the GM was getting chips, we just left.
And then nothing bad happened.
Spider, what's your take on all this, mate?
Killing everybody present in a temple dedicated to slaughter may not achieve my goals. Killing everybody present in a temple dedicated to slaughter may not achieve my goals. Killing everybody present in a temple dedicated to slaughter may not achieve my goals.
Gotcha. Understood. You had a bit of a family reunion last session, didn't you? How'd that go?
Killing everyone present may not achieve.
Unless.
Look, honestly, dealing with my father went about as expected. He was very predictable. Didn't entirely expect to sense the presence of my sister there, but that's okay. Alexandria will deal with her in a future encounter.
Do I have a song for you?
Just gotta harness that energy.
My soul. You've got a bit of a longer view on events, on recent events. Let's hear it.
I mean, when Michael thinks back to the last time he can remember interacting with a temple to the Mistress of Slaughter, it was from above and it was on fire.
I mean,
and now having seen the inside, he feels like it's not a bad choice to be away from it and for it to be on fire. But also probably not while there's this many people inside. That's not great. That's not a good look. But then again, it's all the people apparently worshipping the Mistress of Slaughter. So just kind of it's not as much as it is at other times, but there's a degree of like the more things change, the more they stay the same.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's just like, oh good, it's this again. But also, you know, it's doing exactly what you expect it to do. It's like what's going on inside the temple to the mistress of slaughter? Well, you'll be surprised to know awful things. You were worshipping one of the fiends. What did you expect? Their pamphlets are very clear.
Yep. It's entropy, not chaos. Thank you. All right then. So yes, you were going to say something.
What also happened is we gained XP,
Oh
which
yes,
I haven't
yes.
spent at all, and I'm looking at now. Please continue.
I'd forgotten. Yes, that was a thing. Y'all did do the level up at the end of the last session. That's correct. Yes.
I thought I was really clever because I'd done the feats, and partly because the thing I wanted from Mysol I don't have enough points for, so I was like, well, I can't do it. And then I just now that you mentioned it, remember that attributes are also a thing, and I was like, yeah, I suppose I could increase some of those.
Well, yeah, because the catch is your maximum power level is capped by your attribute.
Yeah, I don't have anything. I don't think I have enough points to make anything 7.
Gotcha. Okay.
Well, that isn't already 7.
Mm.
I don't think I have anything that's actually at 6 that I could. Yeah, so I have enough points to make something 6 if I wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
But it's.
I guess the question is how many times have you run into that? Run into that as an actual wall. I'm pretty sure the answer is not often.
I mean, in Mysol's case, you know, more will is not a bad thing.
Yeah.
It probably is what I will put points into.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because that's right. 5th of May, you guys came up to 15 XP. What level does that make you? I can't remember.
We just hit 6.
Yeah. Okay. Very good.
I got
Very
that
good.
wrong. I didn't save that correctly. I think that changes my decisions. Excuse me.
We're level what? Since when?
They can have creation 7. Thank you. Thanks for that.
Mm-hmm.
There's no. I'm not going up in entropy. Not standing here. This isn't going to be the reason why Alexandria suddenly has.
I'm just going to say there's some thematic roleplay excuses you just don't want to get into.
I don't want her to like. I'm all for like chaos, but like that's not chaos. That's stupid.
Hey, weren't you the one who was on a talk show talking about the merit of suboptimal play, though?
I love suboptimal play. This would be optimal play. Alexandria with entropy? God, she'd just destroy everything. Who needs? She'd be the god of slaughter. Who needs that?
I appreciate that Alexandria with entropy is concerning. But when I tell you that my reaction to Alexandria with level 7 creation was ha. Because I've seen what she does with 6.
She left the murder plant at home. It's fine.
Vampiric boss level murder plant. Don't forget the qualifiers.
I didn't. I was hoping everyone else might have.
Vampiric boss level emo plant.
Look.
I mean,
over here instead. Let's move on.
This discussion is awkward. Let's continue. All right, then. Yeah, it's great mustache. Well, it might mark off things on your goals, but it also might make some of your goals more complicated. That's one way of summarizing it, yeah. All right, then. So, I guess the question is, in the fleeting handful of moments before Genevieve looks up from basically from where she's leading this chant and is, doing whatever hand waving is requisite for the thing. She's currently standing with her back to you as she's doing her thing. And in just a moment, you can start to see the body language of her turning to look over her shoulder. In that handful of moments before Alexandre and Genevieve make eye contact, what's the gunning plan?
My recollection from the very, very end of last episode was there are two ways to stop what's going on, what's left of what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
The remaining 2/3 of this guy's soul decimation. One is to stop them all chanting, and the other is to destroy that 2-ton obelisk.
So the short, well, you've kind of got it right. You've kind of got it wrong. It's only about 1,800 kilos. It's not quite 2 tons. And then the other thing was, it's specifically get her to stop leading the chant.
Oh, that is more reasonable.
Quickly, just flashes back to all the moments that
Well-
Spider has used silence with a crossbow.
Yes. That is specifically more possible.
But I just want to say this is a sanctioned sacrifice. In theory, is that right? It is allowed.
That's what Genevieve told you.
It's not like it's not even a hidden temple.
It's not hidden. It's not being like no one. People don't like it, but like
I joked about pamphlets, but like maybe
they recruit somehow.
Yeah.
And I will point out that as much as you all dislike her, Genevieve has generally, for whatever reason, been incredibly truthful when speaking to Alexandre. And she straight up told Alexandre what was going on in a bar full of other people.
Yeah, that's
not entirely true, though.
I said generally.
Generally, yeah, but
she quibbles, she does prevaricate, but generally...
I was there when she was like, it's okay that you've rejected my offer. I don't even care. And then proceeded to freak the fuck out.
That's quibbling.
Oh, I see. Different.
Alexa, are we trying to stop this?
I was hoping to,
just
but honestly, I was hoping to beforehand.
Sorry, Sam, I get to see it in your forehead.
It was the same. It was the tone as well.
I know. Sorry. Could you do recap? Because he just derailed me.
Alexa, play Despacito.
I cannot.
Alexa, cast entropy.
I definitely can. I am gathering energy. Did you just want this destroyed or the whole of the planet?
Real vague when you said this.
Yes. Please, I do not like vagaries.
Did you say vagaries or vagrants? Well, for that matter, bakeries.
Bakeries. We cannot, I mean...
Time is kind of the essence here.
Person is gone.
Do you want me to stop this or not?
I think a lot of your people get hurt. We go down that way.
Your father's going to let us leave. I think we have to just allow it to happen.
All right.
We don't have to like it, and we don't have to forget it.
I think we may be dealing with another one of our betentacled friends sooner rather than later. Is this where we want to do that?
No.
And as Alexandre says no, Genevieve turns around, sees just like I say, it's just the literal across the room meeting of the eyes. Genevieve, in spite of her chanting, smiles and clearly gestures for Alexandre to come up and join her at the altar.
This bitch did what?
Can I ask if that was in character?
No, that was me.
Yeah.
No, that was me.
I do like the idea of Alexandre like, no, I really don't think. I'm sorry, the bitch did what?
She did what now?
The difference between whether or not it's said with the French accent, right? I mean,
Yeah, it's the accent. The accent will tell you whether or not that was she said it or whether.
No, I appreciate that.
Sorry,
the
what
accent
is
drops.
she doing? The accent has to go.
Yeah, Alexandre's accent drops. It sounds like a gutter urchin.
But it sounds like some. Yeah, she turns into Marcus. What on earth would she possibly want me to come up there for? And if I go down there, I'm going to stop her chanting. Okay. I'm gonna go.
All right then.
Are there like seats in this temple from where we are?
Yes. They're more like pedestals than they are stools than they are chairs, but there are places to sit. Yes. Currently, at this moment, everyone is standing because part of the physical component of the chant involves a little bit of movement, both of the feet. It's not quite a dance; it is a rhythmic movement in time to the chant. It's more like, pardon?
I mean, we've been to church.
Yeah. It's more like stomping to beat poetry than it is to praying.
Yeah, that's not my church.
Yeah.
That's not mine.
How big is this space? I can't remember if we said.
Yeah. So as I commented, it's a fair-sized building. They got around the footprint allocation they got stuck with by adding a lot of vertical height to it to give it a sense of impressiveness. It is vertically vast, right? And they've used choices in terms of stone and color to make the edges kind of, it's dark, it's voluminous, it fades out of sight. It's 20 feet wide. It's not quite that narrow, but it's more like, it's probably something in the vicinity of a 9 to 10 meter wide space, and probably double to 3 times that long. It's not as other temples here as full-size temples go. This one's a bit small in point of fact. They didn't quite. Yeah, so like I say, the official policy is that everyone gets the same size slab of territory, because there's officially no religious preference or discrimination within the Confederacy, except that anyone who can basically pay various attention can tell they got wedged into the equivalent of a corner lot, right? Corner lot at the end of a cul-de-sac. So while it's not officially the smallest spot they could have been given, it's probably pretty damn close. And that's exactly the kind of administrative tomfoolery that the Confederacy is famous for. It's not officially discriminatory, but it awfully looks like it. So, but yeah, I would say probably in the vicinity of, call it 10 meters wide, not quite 20 meters, a little bit more than 20 meters long, right? Easily, for purposes of any kind of a projectile weapon, most of it would be trivial for someone like Spider. Hierophanes would have problems unfurling in here. Air superiority would get awkward.
I wasn't. Yeah, I don't. Yeah. Mysel's plan currently isn't switch. Tag in here at the moment because that's just like just small enclosed spaces with a number of people who are who. Like it's a packed enclosed space. It's like
yeah.
Even if you don't set them on fire, the panic alone.
Yeah, I was just going to say the reality is, and I will just say this, is that a miss is going to be an exceptional failure. In other words, any miss by more than 10 is going to be a hit on a worshiper. Okay, so now
you're innocent, weren't you? And then you thought about what they're doing.
But the other thing too is, as a GM, I'm also trying to very carefully not prejudice anybody in terms of the scenario, because I'm intentionally trying to stay away from, I want to let the group decide what's good and what's evil. I don't want to say it. I don't want to make those statements, right? Because that's just it colors your view.
Yeah.
There's a really
human sacrifice, not great.
Call it dubious, but
there's a really interesting feat I considered briefly with this level up, which is combat follow through. Every time you bring an enemy to 0 hit points with an attack, you can immediately make an extra attack as a free action. Yep. And in this particular scenario, I was like,
there's just
killing everybody in the Temple to Slaughter may not achieve.
Like not the temporary thing, but there's another one which also lets you move for free.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And if you look at the one that lets you move for free, the move can be a teleport.
Yep.
You can Dragon Ball Z some shit, that's for sure.
Yep, absolutely.
But only against goons.
You can shadow strike a bunch. You can like Spider just is suddenly standing somewhere else, and then 5 people just fall over.
This isn't even my final form.
So Alexandria is going to make her way through the crowd. And
Spider...
up to...
We were above them, weren't they?
So what it is essentially it's like Colosseum seating. As you came up, and what you discovered was that in fact the ramps were not level. There was in fact you actually had gone up a little. You're not really sure how high, but you're probably at least the height of Alexandria. At this point, higher than when you walked in, which allows the perception of a greater depth. Right?
Yeah.
Because keep in mind, you're literally on top of a rock block. The entire city is sitting on top of a rock block, right? And so, digging a huge vertical distance is expensive. And the city has the Confederacy in general has issues with people randomly summoning earth elementals for large-scale excavation in the middle of a city. So, So you would have to go down almost as though in a stadium kind of environment, but it's much narrower. It's not this, it's that. Like I say, the vibe is more like a Victorian medical school where you have everyone sitting up looking down on the operating area so they can see in detail as the surgeon is taking pieces out and narrating the work that they're doing. That's much more the feel of this place. It's unpleasant. Also, don't forget you are under the effect of oppressive, right? Which is a disadd 1 for everything unless it's creation, which is diametrically opposed to the fiends, at which point it's disadd 2.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind for all of your cunning plans.
None of us have tried entropy.
Correct.
Yet. Sorry, could you repeat that for me? I don't think I made a note of it.
Yeah.
Oppressive. What does oppressive do?
Oppressive is disadvantage 1 to all attribute rolls, unless the attribute is creation, at which point it's disadvantage 2.
Yep.
So it's disadvantage 1 for everything except creation, which is disadvantage 2. And the reason is, of course, is that the fiends are directly opposed to creation.
Yep. And it's always good to remember that if you spend your entire turn focusing on a single action, you get advantage 1.
Yes, but it also means you can't move.
Yes,
Mm.
and which can be an issue.
No shit.
I will also remind Spider that one of his father's men is one of the people taking place.
Yeah.
Did anyone else? Does it look like anyone else has noticed us, or is it just Jenny?
At this point, it is just Genevieve, although at the point she has looked away from the subject for the first time and is smiling about something, you will presume that people curiosity, I was going to say human curiosity, but people curiosity is going to involve at least a few heads looking to see what's going on. Right. How many people are completely caught up in the trance and the chant? Most of them. Will a couple probably see what the boss lady's smiling about? Probably a few.
I think Spider just takes a seat.
Okay.
Kicks his feet up.
Right.
I think Marshall stays where he is.
Mm-hmm. So Alexandre will have to walk a little bit of a ways along where the platform and then comes down, and very much like coming into a stadium of some kind. There's some of the place goes up, right? I commented this place is very tall, so you're sort of on the mid height. There are 2 rows of seating below you, and then there are 2 rows of seating above you. So you're walking on that midline circumferential walk. It does not go all the way around, by the way. It stops so that there's a blank third directly opposite where you came in. So if you remember, you guys came up, and I said it was about an eighth of an eighth kind of a walk around the outside circumference as you come in, and it splits up, and you go around, and then basically there's that mirror-sized gap. So it'd be more like a quarter, not a third, on the other wall that the walkway does not reach to. So you cannot get behind Genevieve or whoever the priestess on the altar is. You can't get behind them.
Mm-hmm.
So you are going to make a walk in a little bit and start going down the stairs. Again, very, very tall, very sharp angles, not very... It's uncomfortable. The gapping is awkward. You're very aware of your own body mechanics. Whoever designed these stairs either did an absolutely atrocious job, or they don't want you to feel comfortable coming down these stairs. It's one or the other. So what are you doing?
What does she want?
What
does it look like she wants?
Well, she's beckoned to you to join her at the altar. So that's the first question, is if that's where you're going.
I mean, I'm not going directly to her. Hey, grab her hand. Hey, best bud. We're friends now. Like, that's not it.
That's not it, you say.
That is absolutely not it.
That's absolutely not it.
In fact, I'm not going to stop within reaching range of her.
Okay.
Is there anyone? Is there a crowd closing in around me? Feels important to know.
So, for lack of a better way of putting it, everyone in this place seems transfixed by the energy of the place, by the aura of the place, and by the collective magic they are all weaving together.
Right.
You're not even really sure how many people other than her are aware you are here, like within literal distance of the altar. You're not sure if anybody else has noticed. It kind of feels weird to think that. Alexandre is not the most innocuous person, we'll use that phrase. And so I think just the idea that you're basically, they're not quite zombies staring and chanting mindlessly, but there's certainly this vague sensation that there's a general obliviousness that has pervaded the place. And one moment, please. I need to make a quick die roll. That is 3d8.
Oh dear, no, please.
Okay, 3d8, and she gets advantage 3. And that's a natural 20.
Oh, fuck.
So the good news is it isn't directed at you. Ish. One sec. So the one definitely gets re-rolled.
Please hold. Imminent doom incoming.
Okay, so that's 2 1s thrown out. That's 4, a 6, and a 7. So that's 37.
What was she doing again?
We don't know yet.
Yes.
Stuff? She was doing stuff.
She was doing stuff.
So essentially, yeah. So I am going to how do I explain this? The effect does not, I'm not going to force the effect on the players. I'm going to tell you what everybody else sees and what you begin to see, but your own brains go, yeah, she's doing her shit again. Okay. And then you can decide with the 37 on the table how effective it is. Right? Because we've all agreed we're not going to do charm, we're not going to do dominate. I'm not going to take player agency away from players by a die roll. What she has just done is the equivalent of a mass illusion. She has used room-wide AoE influence. So what everybody else sees is her walk across the stage, continuing the chant and her grand gestures, and flawlessly continuing to lead the crowd in the invocation. What Alexandre is aware of is that she's actually standing exactly where she was, and her hands have come together, and she's smiling as though she's pleased to see Alexandre here. She's obviously using a huge outlay of power to essentially shadow clone herself so that she can continue leading her followers without actually having to break stride while she deals with Alexandre in some fashion. So right now, nobody else in the room is aware that the person on the left-hand side of the altar isn't Ch5, except you three, maybe. I will leave it up to you what a 37 means, what a 37 influence roll means to your characters. Now, officially, just for perspective, she does cap. She has an influence. Her influence stat is 8. So the best she can do is power level 8, which is practically edit reality to suit herself. But I will leave it up to
the room. Power level 8 is she can make a phantasm that fits the room.
Right. So she could have herself walking through the room, patting people on the head, etc., and no one would doubt it.
Yeah. I think to make it so that like Alexandre doesn't notice, you'd have to shape it kind of weird.
Mm-hmm.
I think Alexandre does notice, but I'll come back to that. Sorry, go ahead.
If she specifically wants Alexandre to know, essentially if you put the phantasm behind Alexandre.
Yeah.
But it does mean everyone else is just like, you're just looking at a phantasm now.
Yeah.
And
so like I say, I'm not going to bludgeon the players with that role. I will allow it for you folks to guide your role play. But for lack of a better way of putting it, Alexandre is incredibly aware that she has Ch5's undivided attention currently. And Ch5 will ask a very straightforward question. So how does it feel?
How does what feel?
She gestures grandly to the room, the chanting, the swell of this unearthly power. You can see there are motes of power drifting through, and they're suddenly visible to Alexandre. Drifting within those sinuous, snaky tendrils of smoke flowing out of them the various orifices of the sacrifice towards the obelisk. And Alexandria is now very aware in a visceral kind of way. It's sort of remember I described the entire experience as you were getting close to the places. It was this kind of oily, icky, hot, sweaty, kind of unpleasant, been outside too long, tried to take a shower, walked out, and it's just that miserable, ugly feeling all instantly. This is more like you opened the shower door and found the hottest person you've ever met standing there smiling with you and passing you a drink. That is the sudden change. And by the way, that sensation is not coming from Ch5. This is the raw power of what is going on now. You are effectively at ground zero. And no role required. You've seen the slightly glassy look in your grand-mère's eyes before. Ch5 is slightly drunk at this point. By the way, you're actually going to have a brief flashback. You see that moment, the slight, it's not anything obvious. It's the slight look in the eyes that you've seen in your grand-mère when she had one too many, depends on your opinion, bourbon, right? And you, as a young girl, had asked once, Chevalier would never give you a straight answer about shit like this. So you'd always ask Marcus. So on those odd times when Chevalier wasn't around to go, Marcus, don't do that. So you straight up why does grand-mère drink? And Marcus's chuckled reply was, because she can get away with things that way that she knows she can't drink, that she can't get away with sober. Grand-mère is a strategic drunk. What everyone else considered scandalous behavior at societal events, expensive company, one too many bourbon, your grandmother would say the truth in jest, and everyone would be horribly scandalized, and but she's drunk, who cares? And your mother and your father would kind of shuffle her out of the room before she did any more damage. And on conversation, Marcus's reply was, yeah, that's just the Rose. She's a strategic drunk. So you are aware that Ch5 is that vibe. It's that strategic drunk. It's not alcohol. It's the power of the moment. She's intoxicated on what she is doing. So how does it feel?
It feels good. You only had to erase someone's soul to do it.
She kind of looks at you as though she's puzzled. Does that offend you?
Yes.
Why?
Because it's disgusting. And there are better ways.
Name 2 that don't involve killing somebody. Time's up.
Make friends.
Exactly. She smiles.
Garden.
You've never been betrayed by a friend. That's very
Yes,
cute.
I have.
So you don't make friends. It's yet one of those lies that you all tell yourselves. Friends don't exist. I've been trying to get this through to you. You keep coming here with these wonderful ideas of a world that doesn't exist because it's just less painful. This is real.
It looks like it was painful for him.
You should ask him. Put your hand on his temple. She'll take a little card out and give it to you, and you can see something written on it. The words squirm in your vision. It's the best way of describing the visual effect. Your brain doesn't want to deal with what's on that card. Read it aloud. Ask him.
This sounds like a bad idea.
Well, I'm going to hit pause for a second.
Yeah.
And so here's the question. What does my soul see? How much of this can my soul see?
So I mean, obviously 30 whatever is well above my resolve. I remember. Yeah. So like, the phantasm, it was an illusion. But you can, as with any other bane, you can start resisting it. So I rolled a bunch of dice because I wasn't sure what kind of disadvantage he'd be at.
Right, disadvantage 1.
But he pretty quickly got over it.
Okay.
To be like, oh, that was impressive. Okay.
So, for lack of a better way of putting it, the power of the place is amplifying. So, what you're actually still seeing is the ghost of the phantasm drifting around doing its thing. You're aware of what everyone else is seeing. But you're also very aware that she's standing what is probably dangerously close from most people's perspective and is handing something to Alexandre.
Can I, how well can I see the thing?
I tell you what, just because I like the idea of a little bit of suspense for both of us, why don't you roll me perception? Let's see if the dice have an opinion.
Does this have the disadvantage from the thing?
Yes, of course it does.
15.
Okay, 15. It's a card or a scrap of paper, something, and you can tell just by the way that Alexandre is looking at it is to be read.
Right. I think Marcel's on guard, but from his experience with Genevieve, this is not. I mean, everything's just vaguely alarming with her. It's just
there's nothing that's going to cause Alexandre's brain to explode instantly if she reads the card. So far, that wouldn't be Genevieve's MO.
There's a moment of consideration. There's a moment of consideration of being I could telepathically ask if I can have a look as well, but it's I feel like Alexandre needs to focus, needs to not be distracted by my curiosity at the.
Thunk, thunk, thunk. Hey, lady, thunk, thunk, thunk. Are you busy? Thunk, thunk, thunk. Come in.
I think so. I want to look.
Wait, what? Yeah. Finishes the spell.
Spider. What does Spider see of all this?
I know what Spider's doing, which is that with his feet kicked up, leaning back on the, very uncomfortable chair that he's in, he's just one eye closed, hand up like this, just pointing in that direction. But I don't know if it's at the real Genevieve or not. How do you roll one of those resistance rolls? I've forgotten.
I was just going to say, in this case, it's a resistance roll is always roll a d20. If you roll 10 or higher, you pass. The difference is that she has potent bane, which gives disadvantage 1, and then you're under oppressive, which gives another disadvantage. So you're actually rolling. So you roll 3d10, take the worst dice.
Except,
is it 10 or higher, or is it 11 or higher?
It's 10 plus, I believe.
Except that the feat that I did end up taking was resilient, which is you get advantage to shake off banes.
All right, so then so instead of disadvantage 2, you're disadvantage 1.
It wasn't disadvantage.
Yeah, so he's definitely doing this, but it's at the fake Genevieve walking up and down the altar, chanting.
Okay.
I think, yeah, if that's the case, you might get like a telepathic nudge from Mysel being like, "You're aiming at the wrong one."
What do you mean? There's two of them?
Yeah, he then like one by one goes through all the people in the crowd.
No, it's not what I. Oh,
Meanwhile, back at the altar, Alexandre. You can read that card, but you're going to have to want to.
Yeah, I'm gonna say this is an activation of Zealous doing that.
Okay. All right.
Um,
Explain to me how Zealous applies here.
in order to do what La Chanson wants, she kind of needs to understand what not La Chanson wants, as in if La Chanson has such a problem with this, what is it? How do I make sure it doesn't happen again?
Right.
But how do I, like, it's that kind of thing of like, I don't want this to happen again. I'm possibly the only person who could survive this in the first place.
Right.
I should figure it out.
It is the danger of battling monsters, right? Or staring into the abyss, and your zealousness has led you to feel that you are one of those who can safely stare into the abyss. Okay, I like it. Take
Hope that the abyss does not.
yeah. Stare into the abyss and say, "No, you blink."
I mean, yeah, basically. I will add it to the overlay in a second, but I will do what she's saying. I don't like saying that. She'll do what she's gonna do, but not because she was told to.
Yes, of course not. It's because she wants to. It's her idea. So that will require you, in fact, to make a willpower roll with a CR of 13. It's not very high, but it can't be done by accident.
Okay. Question. I have attribute substitution, creation for will. What happens?
What level do you have for attribute substitution? There's 2 levels of it.
I think I have the first one.
Okay.
Which should cover this. If not, I have the points sitting there that I haven't spent because I would have thought this would cover that. If not.
Yeah. Covers non-attack, non-defend, non-invocation rolls.
Sweet.
Yes,
that's what I'm
non-combat, and this is not a combat circumstance. So.
Sweet. That was the aim. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
The second tier is combat rolls.
Okay, yeah, no.
Now the catch is, if you're going to use creation as the substitution,
it gets disadvantage.
You get the extra point of disadvantage. That is correct. So disadvantage 2 instead of disadvantage 1.
Disadvantage 2 versus 1d4.
Oh, okay. Great Mustache says your will is higher, and thus your resolve is based on the is higher based on your creation score. Okay.
Yes, yeah. Right. That's why it's like that.
Yeah.
Wait, what's
Alexandre is resolved.
Yeah, Alexandre is resolved. So yeah, I think I'm gonna do that with the disad. So I will roll that once I found this other. There we go. This had 2. Oy. Okay. Oh boy. I think she fails to roll it. Wait. I think she fails the. Yeah, right. She fails. That was a 3 on the die. 4 with the disad 2.
So, for lack of a better way of explaining it, your brain it's like the worst ADHD attack on the planet. Every time you try and focus on the card, you're looking at something else, anything else in the room. You are viscerally aware that what is wrong, what is written on that card, that scrap of parchment, whatever that thing is, because you can't even figure out what it is written on, is just so horribly wrong, your brain is reacting in self-defense to prevent you from reading it.
Okay.
And there's going to be a slight smile that will twist that perfect lip of Genevieve, and she says, "Would you like a hand?"
In what way?
You seem to be struggling with reading that. I can make it a little easier if you like.
How are you going to make it easier?
I speak the language, she says with a smile.
Okay.
All right. Mechanically, what she's going to do is cast Bolster, so that you can re-roll with a little help.
Ugh.
3d8. She needed it. 3d8 advantage 3. Yeah, okay. So she can hit the power level. You can gain essentially Genevieve is going to turn off the oppressive aura around you with her bolster effect.
Right.
So you can re-roll without disadvantage. She, by the way, it just reaches out and gently puts a hand on your shoulder in the most friendly, helpful way.
That is an exact 13.
The letters ooze around the page. The page itself stops being fuzzy and indistinct. It coalesces into a fragment torn from a book that someone thought they had burned years ago. Because that book was beyond doubt vile to whoever it was that saw it last. And this is ripped from a burning book. The edges of the paper are torched. The ink is written with something that probably was screaming at the time it was used. And the hand was written by something not of this world. The language is Voidal Daemon. This is the native language of Smithers and Company. It is not to be looked at by mere people. And that is what she has unlocked for you.
Thanks.
And it's a chant. It's an incantation. It is essentially speak with dying. Not dead, dying. And you can tell just by the way the word is written in that very oily, oozy script that it's talking about a different kind of dead than just the one where your heart stops.
She puts her hand on the person's temple.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Has she been given the ability to read it or the ability to understand it?
You are able to read this now.
Yes, but like read and understand what will come out of this.
You are completely cognizant of what it does. You currently, for lack of a better way of putting it, the paper is offering its translation services because it likes you.
Google Paper, fantastic. Okay. From Amazon, because Voidal Daemon, let's be honest.
Yeah.
She reads it.
Mm-hmm. All right. So what is your entropy stat, by the way?
5.
All right. Please make me an entropy-based roll. You will gain advantage 2. Remember, I told you it was like the sexiest person you've ever you've ever seen standing there, passing you a glass of booze as you got out of the shower. It turns out the booze is really good.
It's a good gin. Okay, that's a lot of dice. Really wants me to read this. That's a 23.
Easy. You are the sensation. There's the brief weirdness of reality where you're sure the corpse opens its eyes, looks at you, and smiles, but that's not what happened. It doesn't move. You are sure for a moment the ghost of the disheveled, tattered spirit sits up out of the corpse and looks at you, but that didn't happen either. You are surrounded by this. It's not the anti-Chanson. It is not cacophonous. It is white noise. It is the static, it's the microwave background radiation static of the universe filling your senses with a voice in the middle of it. It is the sound of all of the entropy in the universe being pierced by a phone call. What would you like to say to the operator?
Why did you do it?
The sound, the reply, it's a long distance call that the wire isn't quite good on. You know, we're talking pre-digital. It's got some fuzz around it. But even so, there is a distinct sensation of euphoria, of drunken, wild, nihilistic, diving off of a cliff without a parachute euphoria. It's incoherent, but it is joyous. It is bursting with abandon. It is almost overwhelming. If it wasn't for her famous zealousness and her famous resolve, it would be easy to get swept away by this sensation of oblivion. This is someone committing suicide at absolutely every level and happy for it. It is that moment of diving off the cliff. It is that moment of cocking the handle. It is that snapshot before reality says, by the way, this was a bad idea. They're frozen in that moment. It's hard to say they're not enjoying it. It's hard to say that they're fighting it. They're absolutely not fighting it. They're obviously euphoric. But very much in the same kind of way that does a drunk driver really know what they've just done? You're not entirely sure. To use a modern term, this person has has the ability to make legal decisions right now. Maybe operating heavy equipment isn't a good idea for them.
But I mean also that they're dead. So I don't think they can operate heavy machinery anymore.
I certainly hope they can't.
I'm really hoping what they're doing right now is not operating heavy machinery. If Alexandra takes her hand off, this is an if, because I want her to talk. She wants to talk to Genevieve But if she takes if she breaks that contact, is it gone? Or
at the point that Genevieve said, "You put your hand, read the paper," you suspect it is these two things have to be happening, or you lose your connection. Yes.
Okay.
I mean, let's be honest. You've never done this before.
I mean, she wants to ask. Okay, that's in my head, Alexandre. That doesn't make sense. Did you choose this?
Are you talking to Genevieve or talking to them?
Them.
Yes.
Did you have time to think about it?
Days.
What happens after?
You are going to feel a presence. Two of them beginning to infringe on your moment with this victim, the willing participant, whatever you want to use. You are aware that one of them is Genevieve, very much in the kind of way that when you're in class, you're aware that the teacher is walking back and forth at the back of the classroom, but not really saying anything. They're just watching, just listening. She's there in that void space of static and white noise. She's there. I think the odd thing you're going to notice that it's almost a comforting presence. She wants you to. There's a sensation that she is in some way protecting you. Because then there's that other presence. Slaughter. Don't forget whose meal you're talking to.
Oh, yeah. What does...
What does this look like from the outside?
Yeah.
Okay, so Meisel, of course, can see the reality of it. And you can see Genevieve is standing with her hand on Alexandre's shoulder, perhaps a little finger tracing a little bit at the edge of the neck, very reassuring kind of way. And Alexandre has reached and put her hands on the temple, the forehead of the corpse. And they're both now gazing at the closed eyes of the corpse together in a way that I think probably Meisel is finding really fucking creepy. Like, I don't think you've ever seen Alexandre's Zealous out to play. She has walked up to the literal precipice of the void and is hanging out there discussing windsurfing techniques with the archpriestess of the void. I don't think Meisel has ever seen this kind of a moment from Alexandre before.
I don't know if I've seen it in practice, but I'm not surprised either.
What about Spider? What has Spider managed to cut through the bullshit, as it were? Has he gotten the real view?
Let's find out.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah, I think something about like the way Alexandria is communicating to both of them is like Spider's like, so there's one piece of this puzzle that doesn't line up.
At no point in this conversation has Alexandre looked deep in thought and confusion and then questioned something. No, this doesn't.
But
so yes, you're going to have that exact same effect of where the illusory, the hallucinatory version of Genevieve strolling back and forth in her priestly robes fades as though the transparency has been dialed. And the other one standing, as I say, possibly uncomfortably close to your friend, fades in equal proportion.
Yeah. I think there's just like there's that moment of holding the finger gun and then being like, oh. Just crosses his arms and is watching very carefully. There's probably a moment where he looks at Mysel. Are we sure that Alexandria is the right one to make the call on this one?
I don't know how far you went down to get a seat, but Mysel stayed back at the entrance.
Yeah. He's like,
no, he's literally
yeah. I'm just sitting down rather than standing.
Yeah.
Mysel doesn't notice. He's just hyper-focused.
It's like no response, and Spider goes, nah.
And well, it's also that thing where like, so Mysel is the smiling child, but it's like that's not an act. He's legitimately just like that's just who he is. He was like that as an adult as well.
Yeah.
No, looks very serious. So it's more of a, do you really think okay?
That answer is probably not yes. And I think, ladies and gentlemen, and everybody else who's watching, why don't we take a quick 5-minute break? My teacup is tragically empty. And then we will come back to Alexandria and her conversation under the watchful eye of Slaughter.
It's been so long since we last interacted with an unfathomable cosmic entity.
Has to happen at least once per season, or I'm just off my game.
Yeah, we'll be back. We'll be back. Why hands?
Have you considered that you might like a disguise that doesn't involve being wrapped up in veils?
Yes.
Will you let me do your makeup?
No. You.
Think don't be afraid.
You look like you need a ride. You look like you need a ride. I'm here to help, but I don't think that I can fit your friend there. Can you ask them if they are going to eat me?
Depends on your answer.
My name is Michel Vaillancourt. I'm the games master and storyteller for Unlawful Disorder. I've been asked to give a summary of events of the game, but that seems a little strange because, well, that's the job of the players. Don't ask me what the story is, I'm just the guy telling it. So, let's talk about how we got here. So, about a year ago, I saw a bunch of really talented people doing some really cool stuff, and I thought, well, that's cool, I'll have to keep them in mind. And a little while after that, I got a call from a roleplay channel asking me to set up a game. They wanted a European time zone friendly game. So I went back and I called up the cool people doing the cool stuff. So that would be Chantel and company. Cool. So, after that, we took a little bit of time, discussed a good D&D campaign, and I brought forward one of my homebrew worlds. And they looked at me and said, no.
You're sure he's not gonna eat me?
He's not gonna eat you.
Okay, I'm a friend then.
Depends
In
on
that
your
case,
answer.
It's not the name that's on the bounty, and that's all that matters to me.
Okay. Now I just have to remember to respond to it.
Well, you'll do that, won't you, Aerith? Aerith,
Are you going to eat them?
Considers it.
By the way, you have no clue what she's on about. Like, you've never seen one of these things before.
He's a vegan!
Oh, what?
Definitely don't know what that is.
I don't care what he is. He's got big teeth.
You do have big teeth. Not incorrect.
Theo's grasp of the trade tongue is
Oh,
body.
do you? Oh, do you? What do you eat them?
Sort of looks back up. I will not consume that person.
Could you be a little more generic and just say you're not going to consume anyone in the city as well? Just to make it easier.
That'd be great.
So reverting back to Elvish, like,
Just try.
what language?
know?
I'm not gonna eat people.
I know you're not going to eat people.
Language is hard.
I know. Just say it the way I'm telling you to say it. I'm not going to eat the city.
I'm not gonna eat the city.
Yes.
I'm not gonna eat the city. Mental image got too funny.
Why hands?
Have you considered that you might like a disguise that doesn't involve being wrapped up in veils?
Yes.
Will you let me do your makeup?
No.
You...
Think don't be afraid.
You look like you need a ride. You look like you need a ride. I'm here to help, but I don't think that I can fit your friend there. Can you ask them if they are going to eat me?
Depends
In
on
that
your
case-
answer.
My name is Michel Vaillancourt. I'm the games master and storyteller for Unlawful Disorder. I've been asked to give a summary of events of the game, but that seems a little strange because, well, that's the job of the players. Don't ask me what the story is, I'm just the guy telling it. So, let's talk about how we got here. So, about a year ago, I saw a bunch of really talented people doing some really cool stuff, and I thought, well, that's cool, I'll have to keep them in mind. And a little while after that, I got a call from a roleplay channel asking me to set up a game. They wanted a European time zone friendly game. So I went back and I called up the cool people doing the cool stuff. So that would be Chantel and company. Cool. So, after that, we took a little bit of time, discussed a good D&D campaign, and I brought forward one of my homebrew worlds. And they looked at me and said, no.
You're sure he's not gonna eat me?
He's not gonna eat you.
Okay, I'm a friend then.
Depends
In
on
that
your
case,
answer.
It's not the name that's on the bounty, and that's all that matters to me.
Okay. Now I just have to remember to respond to it.
Well, you'll do that, won't you, Eric? Eric,
Are you going to eat them?
Considers it.
By the way, you have no clue what she's on about. Like, you've never seen one of these things before.
He's a vegan!
Oh, what?
Definitely don't know what that is.
I don't care what he is. He's got big teeth.
You do have big teeth. Not incorrect.
Theo's grasp of the trade tongue is
Oh,
body.
do you? Oh, do you? What do you eat them?
Sort of looks back up. I will not consume that person.
Could you be a little more generic and just say you're not going to consume anyone in the city as well? Just to make it easier.
That'd be great.
So reverting back to elders, like
Just try.
language.
know?
I'm not gonna eat people.
I know you're not going to eat people.
Language is hard.
I know. Just say it the way I'm telling you to say it. I'm not going to eat the city.
I'm not gonna eat the city.
Yes.
I'm not gonna eat the city. Mental image got too funny.
Why hands?
Have you considered that you might like a disguise that doesn't involve being wrapped up in veils?
Yes.
Will you let me do your makeup?
No.
You...
Think don't be afraid.
You look like you need a ride. You look like you need a ride. I'm here to help, but I don't think that I can fit your friend there. Can you ask them if they are going to eat me?
Ends
In
on
that
your
case-
answer.
My name is Michel Vaillancourt. I'm the games master and storyteller for Unlawful Disorder. I've been asked to give a summary of events of the game, but that seems a little strange because, well, that's the job of the players. Don't ask me what the story is, I'm just the guy telling it. So, let's talk about how we got here. So, about a year ago, I saw a bunch of really talented people doing some really cool stuff, and I thought, well, that's cool, I'll have to keep them in mind. And a little while after that, I got a call from a roleplay channel asking me to set up a game. They wanted a European time zone friendly game. So I went back and I called up the cool people doing the cool stuff. So that would be Chantel and company. Cool. So, after that, we took a little bit of time, discussed a good D&D campaign, and I brought forward one of my homebrew worlds. And they looked at me and said,
I have dialed and we have returned.
Yes.
I have warmed mead because I
Ah.
had to do something. Oh, I have frozen. Just me. I will see if that helped. No,
Interestingly enough, your your captions are coming
my
through. but
captions
your
are
video's
fine,
not.
so I'm still
Yeah.
here. There we go.
Yeah.
Popped in. Just
Hmm.
needed a moment. Just needed a moment. I'm back. We are back. Everything is back. It's all okay. Everything is fine. Alexandri's not about to try to talk to a god.
Again.
Which one was it last time?
The list is long, you see.
Who did you try to talk to last time that was a deity?
No, you're right. The other ones weren't deities. They were a step above.
Hi. You can't talk. I'll speak to time itself.
That wasn't me. I got to look at it. I didn't get to talk to it.
Shouldn't have looked at it. Don't look. What?
Little Miss Song of the World.
So there is the feeling of slaughter behind me.
No, it's ahead of you. She's behind you.
How is that protective? I'm just saying. That's not protective.
Jennifer was putting her hand on her shoulder. It's not protection. It's like, I'll hold her down. Go for the gun.
Right? My soul belongs to someone else. You can't have it. It belongs to me. I mean, does Alexandria know who, specifically? She knows who that is, what that is, what that entity situation over there is. Who the person whose meal I'm talking to.
So I guess the question, trying to come up with a way of explaining this in a context that is reasonable for Alexandria. It's not your brain saying that slaughter. It's somewhere in the pit of your gut panicking that you're being looked at by slaughter. It's a primordial feeling. It is something written into your DNA that tells you, you don't remember this. Your grandparents don't remember this. 100 generations don't remember this. But I do!
It's lizard brain. It's what I like to call lizard brain, saying, hey, be afraid.
Or if not be afraid, at least be cautious.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Fun.
And like I say, the most disturbing thing about this is that the word you get is not slaughter in the Confederate tongue. It's, this thing, whatever it is, its name in Voidal. It's not that you're thinking slaughter. It's that you're thinking sound of a chainsaw hitting a carpet with a body wrapped inside.
Oh, I see. It's spelled slaughter, but it's pronounced chainsaw hitting carpet. Hitting a carpet. All right, cool. Sweet, chill, cool. Yeah. Got it. Can I look at it?
Of course you can.
What does it look like?
Do you want to?
Yeah.
All right then.
Of all the characters I've ever played, Alexandria is the one that would do something so stupid.
Sure. So I'm going to ask you to make another will roll.
I thought so.
Considering some of the characters you've played, that's horrifying.
Right?
Just.
Yeah, it is. It truly is. Does the bolster remain or?
Yes. It is.
Okay.
It remains.
Oh, she wants me to see. Cool.
Well, she's not going to stop you, is a better way of putting it.
Bitch. I need help, Wait, it's just, okay. My brain's trying to stop me. It's a 15.
Okay, that is enough.
Oh, good.
So the sexy person hanging outside your shower door with a glass of exceedingly good booze, who would that be? In Alexandria's world, open the door and not, oh my God, what are you doing there? But, oh my God, you're here. Who would that be in Alexandria's world?
God, I don't know at this point in time. I don't know that Alexandria has met someone that is that.
Okay. then it's going to be this really uncomfortable sensation of looking at at your idealized hottie is the best way of explaining it. It is the gut reaction of everything that makes Alexandre react instead of think.
Oh no. Okay. Yeah. Cool.
You're dealing with somebody who's got a deception stat and an influence stat around 11 or 50, somewhere in the 11 to 15 range. You look, you see what you want to see, and my God, it's good. And they pass you a glass of booze, literally. Genevieve, by the way, seems to be frozen. She has stopped pacing. The static has stopped pacing. Slaughter smiles at you and passes you a champagne flute.
I mean, you can't say no to Slaughter. That sounds like a bad idea.
That'd be rude.
Rude. That's very rude. You don't have to partake in the meal, but like it's just a champagne flute. Sweet. Yeah, I'll take it.
It is full of the sparkles of a dead man's soul. The effervescence of the wine is power forbidden. Slaughter takes a sip of theirs. So what brings you here? And you are absolutely, mortally aware that this is the voice that you hear in the back of Genevieve every time she speaks. That ragged edge of self-convinced zealotry, and madness isn't the right word, but it's that step beyond zealotry. You've been hearing Slaughter all along. Are you going to have a sip of that, by the way? Says the GM, smiling to the player.
Sounds like a bad idea. Really, really bad idea. I'm going to have a sip. Alexandre? Don't know yet.
I mean, that's reasonable.
Alexandre, not yet.
So glad you clarified.
Yeah. No, I needed to.
While you're deciding what Alexandre's doing, I'm going to shift back to the lads, who are aware that something has just changed in the room. The chanting has developed, there is no other way to put it, an extra-worldly reverberation, an echo that speaks of walls that you cannot see, echoing a sound that you should not be able to hear. And I think both Meisel and Spider are going to hear an incredibly sexy voice ask the question, and it's going to be different for both of them, because what constitutes attractive to them is different. What brings you here?
Is it sort of like a heard inside the head, or
heard inside the head, heard through the feet, heard through the temporal membrane, heard to the panic level of your DNA trying to crawl out of your gut?
well, it had just been so long. I wanted to see how you were.
And what does Spider? Does Spider react? Does Spider respond? Like I say, there's that visceral kind of eek moment where your genetic memories tell you that voice is not to be heard by people like you. And then there's the voice, which is, like I say, it's what does the person holding the glass of wine to get out of the shower look like? That's their voice.
What did they say? They said, "What are you doing here?"
What brings you here?
What brings you here? Just plain old curiosity, mate.
good to see you, is the answer you will both get. It didn't manage to sound friendly. Sexy, but not friendly.
Which is
They are
its own
mutually
way
exclusive.
sometimes, yeah.
So, Alexandre, is she having a sip of the champagne? Because, of course, for Alexandre, it would be champagne.
She's looking at it. She's
Mhm.
not sipping it.
Okay.
And she will respond to the question and say, I needed to know why she's doing this.
You are smiled through. You're not smiled at, you are smiled through. There is no other way to explain the sensation of the moment. And Slaughter replies, she understands the eternal pact. We are good to those who favor us. Your gods, your saints, battle uselessly to oppose the very nature of the universe. And they waste so much in doing so. And so we reward those who transcend, who assist, who provide. That is why.
And those who don't?
The shrug in the same way of you're asking what happened to the rat after the snap. Why are you worrying about a rat? It was in the way. They're a pest. You get rid of them. It's that entire dismissiveness. You stepped on an anthill. Who cares? They're ants. Why are you wasting your valuable time worrying about ants? It's all of that in a shrug, in a sip of the glass, and a few of those effervescent sparkles dim.
Does the person who I came in here to talk to originally, are they still here?
The best way they were never here. You're talking to them on a phone line. And that's the best way I can explain. Like if you ask a question sort of to no one in particular, you get an answer from them. But as long as you're talking to Slaughter, and you probably would have, you haven't tried, but probably if you address Genevieve directly, then whoever they are would not answer. You get them. But if you're just talking to the room, as it were, talking to the white noise, then you get back from them.
How do they feel about what's going on now?
You're not going to get an answer because currently you're having drinks with Slaughter, and they've put the entire discussion on the rest of the universe's discussion on hold for a second.
Everyone's on hold. Is Slaughter a man?
Slaughter is exactly what you want them to be.
Right.
Alexandre tends towards queer, so Slaughter in this case is probably showing themselves as the mistress of Slaughter. That's one of the things that all of the fiends and all of the gods, not the saints, but the gods, all have an associated gender, but the folklore is gender fluid. They show up with, for lack of a better way, they show up with what makes the most sense for the circumstance.
Yeah.
a few of them are stubbornly gender fixed, but it tends to have to do, like, but it has most to do because that just suits their job description better, right? It's a stereotype. So how much of that is their followers' perception versus how much of that is them? It's not like you've had a chance to ask the question before. I suppose you could bring it up right now since you're having bubbly. Are you having bubbly, by the way?
No. I'm not.
How far is that zealotry going?
That zealotry doesn't go so
really
far as
won't
to
know.
actually consume a soul, I feel.
Okay.
I think the zealotry goes.
No, would you? I mean, that's the whole point.
No, see, the thing is, she came in here to find out how that person felt, but now that's been put on hold, and so she can't actually do what she came in here for. Consuming a soul was never the purpose, and consuming the soul was never the intent.
I see. Okay, fair enough then.
Yeah, so
Probably
for
really
her,
takes-
she's holding it because it was like in the same way that you're like, yeah, I'll totally listen to anything you have to say because you're hot. And like, you're gonna hand me this? Cool, for sure. Wait, hang on, what is it though? Is the thing.
Yeah. That vague sensation of, am I holding a glass full of roofies?
Yeah, exactly. Someone offers you a glass, you hold the glass, you don't necessarily drink from said glass.
Yeah.
She's not distracted enough for that.
Yeah. So I guess the question is, oh, sorry, keep going. My apologies.
Are you going to stop me from leaving here?
No. Why would I do that?
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure either. You'll come back.
You seem certain.
I have certain prerogatives when it comes to the way the universe works. Some people, they smile in that kind of eek way that, cats smile at mice. Some things become more obvious with time. You can go anytime you wish. I just thought since you were passing by, I'd stop in to say hi. Do be kind to Jenny, dear. She's a sweetheart. They smile. And they fade away. You're still holding the glass in hand.
Is it still effervescent?
Yes. Oh, yeah. And then the static comes back. Jennifer goes back to pacing. The tableau up at the front for the two gentlemen stops being less tableau-esque. The resonance in the back of the room in the chant fades away. You're not even really sure it was ever there. You're certainly not sure who it was you were just talking to in your heads. Everything's gone back to being a perfectly normal church temple to slaughter in the process of doing a human sacrifice.
Perfectly normal. Fuck. Alexandre, really? This is really what you want to do?
Do we see the glass? Sorry, do we see the glass?
No.
Okay.
Glass is in the brain space.
That's... I was concerned it wasn't anymore.
Yeah, you know what? Thanks for asking.
Yeah. Yeah.
Alexandre will use that static and talk to the deceased.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel now?
I'm not even going to bother because it's just incoherent, giddy babbling.
Still.
Drunk/drugged. Yeah, wired out of their mind, euphoric, 27 too many ecstasy.
Is Alexandria aware that Jennifer is still in this space?
Yeah, absolutely. You, like I say, she's gone. You are very aware that she's gone back to her protective pacing, and the sensation of being watched by this malevolence because you can now put a word to that sensation. That malevolence ahead of you it's receded. It's not gone away, but it has receded. Kind of the same way that the bay dries out before a tsunami.
What happens if I just leave this?
Are you asking Genevieve? You'll get used. Genevieve smiles. Nothing ever goes to waste.
By you?
Oh no, I never go to waste. I'm always put to very good use.
I meant this. Will you consume it?
Oh no.
Why was it handed to me?
You'd have to ask them that. I must admit, I'm a little jealous of the gift.
What does it do?
Power. Raw power.
Alexandre is... Does this brain space have a table?
It does now that you're looking for one. An ottoman sort of appears beside you,
Okay.
and then realizes it's too short and transmogrifies itself into a Victorian end table, and then scuffles over so it's directly under your hand.
Cool. She's just gonna put it down. This is uncomfortable. No, thank you. Yeah, no. Alexandre puts it down.
Glass hits the table, and the reaction is instant. The transparency of the champagne fouls. It becomes every bad 1960s mad science moment. It's Dr. Frankenstein's boiling vial. It begins to effervesce this irritant, this noxious luminescent green color. Froth begins to descend over the edges of the glass, and the glass rots. That was a waste, says Genevieve.
You know, if we used the berries in my garden back home, that would never happen.
Is that an invitation?
No, it's not. But it is me pointing out that there are better things than any of this. And she's just gonna take her hand away. From the temple.
You are going to hear two voices simultaneously. One is the long distance call, the overwhelming delight of oblivion. Beware. And then that sort of bass rumbling up through your feet sensation that, again, your DNA hears instead of your ears. See you again soon. And as your hand breaks contact, the fuzz, the static field falls apart. It blurs away. It becomes transparent, becomes translucent. It becomes foggy. It unravels like cheap cotton candy in the rain. And suddenly you're standing with Genevieve uncomfortably close to you with her hand on your shoulder, playing with the edge of your neck.
Taking a step. Taking a step. Taking a step. Several steps. Several steps. All of the steps. Goodbye.
And the ghost Genevieve is still doing her thing, walking over towards the real Genevieve, and they collide and become one image again. And Genevieve goes back to what she was doing when you walked in. You're free to leave if you want. It's not quite being dismissed. It's that she's hit about the limit of which she can keep pre-programming the hallucination. So she's going to have to run the show for real for a few minutes, for a moment or two at least.
I'm leaving.
Okay. You two can clearly see the transition moment where Alexandria goes from blissed at the contact to that moment of revulsion when she realizes where Genevieve is and what's going on, and oh my god, I'm here. And the moonwalk backwards to get away from Genevieve, and the merging of the phantasm with the real. And Alexandria, I presume, makes a beeline for her friends.
She makes a beeline for the exit. If her friends are on the way, that's great. But like, she has a plan. Plan is leave.
Okay. Alexandria is wonderfully executing her plan via the entrance / exit opposite the one you guys are sitting at.
Oh. Yeah.
Does it look like the exit Alexandria's about to use will actually meet back at the actual
it's
exit?
the other side. Remember, when you walk in, it's that split of the loop.
Yeah.
You guys came up the left-hand side. She's heading down the right-hand side.
It's not like no. That just takes you backstage.
Yeah, that takes you to the preparation room for the next sacrifice. You want to? Oh, she went there. No, she's heading for the door. In case of fire, flee this way. And she's fleeing. What are you two up to?
Maisel spends like a couple of beats extra. I think just kind of just staring at Genevieve.
If Genevieve is aware that you're there, she's giving no indication.
It's not. He's not trying to get her attention. He's just sort of. It's that sort of like, don't often see serious Maisel, but this is sort of
gotcha.
Serious, contemplative. And then he just sort of I guess goes to just turn around to go to leave, particularly once Spider gets up.
Okay. And what about Spider?
You said Alexandria's like going to an exit opposite us, right?
Yeah. Like I said, you guys had come up the left-hand branch of that, and she's taking the branch that would have brought you up the right-hand side. So she's literally on the other side of the building from you. She took the quickest way out. I mean, Spider can see that. And she just took a beeline to the closest exit. Luck of the draw was she was literally on the opposite side from you.
So, like, how far away is that? How big? Like, how far across is the room?
Straight line distance, probably 12 meters.
Games do things in feet, Michelle. Please help me.
36. 36 to 40.
I think this game does things in yards, which is like
1 point. Yeah, and for practical purposes, I do some shorthand equivalency where 1.5 meters is 5 feet is 1.5 yards. Okay. They're all close enough that I'm willing to put up with rounding errors for simplicity.
Oh, I'm wrong. Never mind.
No, it's definitely in feet. This what I want to do, and yeah, Spider looks at Maisel and it's like, well, we shouldn't leave her alone.
I mean, 12 meters is what? A bit more.
36 to 40 feet.
Yeah.
I have 35 feet of teleportation, so that's what I'm going to go for.
Blink. Sure.
Just blink us across the room. I have disadvantage on the thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when you say that to Maisel just sort of like, like it's nods, but it's that kind of like, it's combination of like acknowledging it, but also like you go kind of thing. Like I get it, go.
Yeah, 20, which is enough.
Blink. Yeah, bam. That's power level 10. You're actually stat capped 35 feet. Zap! You appear basically on the edge of the platform, and given your ridiculous dexterity, are able to lithely make the quarter dancing step ahead so that you don't actually fall backwards, and are essentially at Alexandria's elbow.
At that, Maisel starts smiling again and then turns to leave.
Okay.
Yeah, there's like a moment where Spider looks over his shoulder at Jennifer. It's like, all right, and then just walks off Alexandria.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
It's hard to give up on legend points when your character has sort of overcome some of their flaws.
give me 1 second.
That's when you get you.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I should do that.
Alexandre. Something appears at Alexandre's elbow. She slaps at it.
Well,
But I only rolled an 8, so it's okay.
I'm like 5 feet behind you anyway. I'm like,
Yeah.
Thwip, miss. And yes, by the way, it is completely, if you've essentially worked off worked off one of your flaws, you're always welcome to replace it with a flaw which is more roleplay appropriate, so that you can continue to pick up those juicy legend points. You know,
Juicy legend.
the problem is
like loyal to your friends could be a flaw. You know, loyalty can be taken to a fault.
It can be.
The problem is Spider's proud in that way that it just infuses everything he does. So I don't he hasn't worked that one off. It's just like doesn't quite get to the point where like one thing is more than another. But I don't think he's vengeful in that way anymore. So
no, I mean that's literally the reason your father survived. The reason your father survived the encounter was because that whole thing is done. It's like you've just moved on past that. Spider has outgrown. Yeah, that's the best way of putting it. Spider has outgrown that.
Good job, Spider. One day, Alexandre might outgrow being upper class. It's not likely.
Bet you that.
It's very unlikely.
Champagne was really good, though.
One day the champagne, maybe, sure, but not upper class.
So outside, the three friends reunite in the brilliant morning sun, the thin air of a cliff spider outside the Temple of Slaughter. Someone say something.
Oh,
how does Alexandre look?
Pale. Spoke to Slaughter. They say hi.
Yeah, they did. To I'm assuming Spider as well, but to me as well.
Did you get offered a glass of champagne?
No, it was more of a side-eyeing the other people who happened to be acknowledging we're there and then letting us know that we didn't matter.
That makes sense.
You know.
I was offered sparkling souls for us. My mom would be very unhappy. I was very rude. I should have tasted this, but I did not, because that seems awful. And, frankly, the quality of it when I put it down was awful too. So maybe it's a good thing.
I've not met your mom. I'd like to think she'd make an exception.
Me too.
Like, if a fiend offers you something, you're not obligated.
You've never met my mother. So
Tell me you've studied French culture without telling me you've studied French culture.
yeah. So now, the person that sacrificed themselves did sacrifice themselves. They wanted to. They made that choice. They had days to choose. and slaughter entirely consumes souls. So you know, it was a very fucked up thing I just saw.
Yeah, I imagine it was. I mean, if you've convinced someone that they want something, doesn't matter how much time you give them, they're still going to think that they want it. Doesn't necessarily mean it's in their best interest.
No, it was not in their best interest. Slaughter was peckish.
Yeah.
We're leaving today, aren't we? Soon.
Just need to check in with our troll friend.
Okay.
The ambassador.
Yes.
Our troll friend, the ambassador. And then we can leave. Okay. Well, I am ready to I'm ready to leave when you are.
Is there going to be a town left when I come back?
Here. I would hope so. The problem is there's only so far slaughter can go, right? Like if you slaughter everyone and everything that exists, what have you got left? Slaughter needs people to be born. You need a population to do that.
Are you sure that it cares?
I think it cares about its own well-being. It's the best we can hope for. Reminds me of your sister.
How so?
Cares about its own well-being and is very up itself.
Yeah, fair enough.
You should probably check that she's not slaughter.
I hate to tell you this, but you'd probably be rather fond of the comparison.
I know. That's why I want to slap her.
Slaughter or
Yes.
Good. That's the right response.
I thought so. Where do we go now? What now?
Well, I guess
I would guess.
Go see the ambassador.
Back to the inn.
Back to the inn.
I was just gonna say, yeah, back over to the market, pick up Spider's trinkets, and then back to the inn to collect your stuff and load Boris and Alexei and prepare for the grand departure.
It's not just Boris and Alexei anymore. We got a whole fucking caravan. Let's go.
Let's do a caravan. Okay.
As we set off, like start. Mysel, he's not looking to actually really link in. He's essentially just mentally sending Alana a text.
Okay.
It's not just we don't have to have a conversation about this. We just I'm placing this in your mind. I'm getting out. I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
But it's essentially like, if you want to have a word with Alexandre, if you want to talk with Alexandre, you want to do it soon.
The reply you're going to get is, see you for breakfast.
Okay.
I think all of you are going to have this vague, again, DNA level, periodic sensation of wanting to glance over your shoulder to see if your own shadow is not trying to sneak up on you.
Mm-hmm.
It's the best explanation I can give you for the effect on the psyche that even vaguely chatting with slaughter produces, any of the primordial fiends. It literally does feel like you're glancing at your own shadow with some suspicion, right? It's not paranoia, it's discomfort. It goes away as you make your way across town, but it's very pronounced for the first few moments, for the first few minutes as you're making your way to the out of Saints Rise. The Chanson has discovered that the volume knob can be cranked up to 11 and has brought along its own brass band.
How does La Chanson feel about the whole situation that has occurred? Yeah. Yeah, me too. Me too.
Yeah. Yeah. You folks will leave Saints Rise, make your way across to the mercantile district, the Great Market, find the ambassador. As a reminder, trolls are myconids, and as a result, move generally awfully slowly. The only trolls which deal with humans are the ones who are essentially the drug addicts. Basically, they're the only ones who take enough speed to be able to deal with humans at a human pace.
Yeah, me too.
So the ambassadors. But at the same token, for you folks, they're easy to deal with. They're thinking and moving at your own pace. They talk at a timbre that makes sense to you. It doesn't, you don't have to record it and then play back at 10 times speed to get a word out of them. But yeah, to their own race, they're a bunch of cokeheads, permanently wired out of their mind on speed. Which is why they're the only one or two in the market. Yeah. But it's also the reason that all of the legends about trolls exist. If you don't burn them, chopping them up doesn't help, blah, 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 right? They're myconids. They're intelligent mushroom-based creatures. And so, yeah, anything that you leave it alone, you wind up with two of them. Chopping them up means you now have brothers who are mad at you. Et cetera, et cetera. So, good to see you. How are you? Again, his idea of speaking quickly is a little slow for y'all, but at least it's dealable.
Jamie cannot find my notes about this guy's name.
No, it's fine.
But
yeah,
we had become quite good friends. If I
recall, yes, you've spent some time hanging out and chit-chatting and getting to know them and understanding the culture enough that you, like I say, which is part of the reason I'm willing to give you those insights about the nature of who the ambassador is in relation to their own race. Yeah, or their own species, more specifically.
Very, very well, my friend. It is a wonderful day. We are finally allowed out of this terrible lockdown, we can go anywhere we please. And I plan to make haste.
Haste is undervalued, he says with what approximates a smile. He will take after a little bit of rummaging, again, a little bit slow, methodical for human perspective, but he's, speed running by his own species standard, produces a small, ornately worked box. As a reminder, the trolls see magic. They essentially, I don't want to say they have a racial ability, but the ones who choose to get into it essentially all have the ability to detect auras, and so they all see magic. So they have a bouquet. So the most extreme versions have a bouquet of +5 Holy Avengers decorating their lawn because they sparkle pretty. They don't hoard treasure. They make pretty things that sparkle. So it seems completely beyond the ambassador to have not spent almost as much time making a very pretty box to give you the ring in as the ring itself. It sparkles.
This is an absolute delight, my friend.
I hope it serves you well. So, because it is awkward to disappear in the middle of kind conversation, you must press this gemstone while thinking invisible thoughts to trigger the magic. It will not activate simply by putting the ring on, which allows you to wear it as jewelry and appreciate it for its beauty. And only when you need it does its magic become apparent.
You are a masterful artisan, and I thank you.
I appreciate the kind words, and as your friends... But he doesn't really say friends. He sort of says a phrase that roughly translates to friends, because the way their culture works, friend isn't really a word by itself because everyone's sort of extended family. So it's kind of more along the lines of that really odd duck brother that everyone else thinks is really weird and you think is adorable. That one, that's you. Friend. If your friends need anything, please let them know they're welcome because of your recommendations.
Indeed. Some associates of mine may have business with you in the near future.
So long as they speak your name kindly, they are welcome. You have your ring.
Yeah, if I recall, we couldn't get your thing, Sam? I don't remember.
No,
you wanted something as well.
I also have a thing.
Yeah, in fact, that's the reason it took so long, was because you wanted both of them done.
Right.
And so you jointly decided to wait till everything was done, as opposed to one of you having an item, not both of you. So I can't remember what it was Sam had wanted. What was it?
It was it's a haste thing for here.
Yes. So yeah, in this case, what you're basically given is having been given the specifications of the neck of a dragon without actually having not seen neither dragon nor mentioned the fact it's a dragon. I really do need something about that round. That
it looks like a really big gorget.
Yes, that is essentially what has been made. It's a fascinating combination of tortoiseshell, heavy leather that's on the par of like a wrought bison, that kind of thickness. I don't know if you speak leather working, but saddle weight leather starts at around 8 ounces. This is up into the 12-ounce range. Heavy and yet surprisingly supple. When you put the edges together, they click, like the way the way MagSafe snaps together. But this is leather; it just click, and it begins to visibly sparkle. Not radiant anime style. No, it's just this very thin, obvious magical effect around it. If it turns out that I've misunderstood the measurements, particularly this distance, and it proves uncomfortable, just have the wearer drop by and I'll do a fitting. I think there's...
I'll let him know.
I take pride in my work.
Well, you should. It's very good work.
Yeah. Again, just a ridiculous amount of metalwork wrought into it, just simply for the simple joy of having sparkly stuff inlaid in leather, right? Yeah.
Like, Meisel doesn't, like, he's not can't like crafts thing himself, but he is very aware of craftsmanship.
Yeah.
So yeah, he notices and is suitably impressed.
For lack of a better way of putting it, there is a joy in both these pieces. There is embellishments just for the sake of, it's a cool place to put a curlicue. That kind of stuff, right? The raw brass, this is an excellent place for a happy little tree, right? It's that whole, the delight in the simple act of doing. It's written large across both of these pieces.
But
probably in a way that you're actually all collectively unused to seeing in the Confederacy. The Confederacy is really good at printing presses. Less so French art studios.
There's a moment, I guess, where Meisel's looking over this and he's sort of examining it, and the longer he sort of looks at it, he kind of gets it's like a combination. He's like very happy, nostalgic, and the whole thing's tinged with sadness.
Yeah, that brief moment of time travel through the good and the bad.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
And it's like kind of gets lost in that moment.
Okay.
For long enough that it's like it's obvious to everyone.
Nudge, nudge, are you okay? Kind of thing. Yeah. What's going on in Alexandri's head during this?
In the last 20 minutes, I've had 2 different deities in my head. It's a lot. One of them is really, really loud at the moment, as though that's cleansing. But I don't think it's just loud. It's just loud. It's not that she's trying to block out La Chanson. It's more.
I'm fine. You can turn the music down now.
Like, I can't think now. Like this.
Yeah.
It's that. Sorry, you finish.
Oh, I can't think like this. And are you trying to make it so I can't think like this?
I just imagine it's like that. It's that kind of thing where it's like, I just want to play the music loud enough that I can't think about anything else, except you're not making that choice, someone else is, and the music is just a trumpet.
And it's unrehearsed trumpet.
Yes. A 27 horn section trumpet noodling.
Yeah. That's where Alexandri's at right now.
Gotcha. Fair enough. All right. So you folks will wrap up your affairs in the square. I think it's easy to say that you've certainly gotten your wealth levels worth in your purchases, and heading back to the inn to pick up your things. Yes.
Yep.
All right. Sitting at the VIP table is the Wandering Rose herself. That would be a grand-mère. She smiles and waves. Just in time for breakfast, she says.
Oh, she meant today.
I mean, no one told Alexandria either way, so that's fine.
My soul is legitimate. And by my soul, I mean me.
Also me.
So we could definitely claim this as absent-minded if you want, but my soul is definitely like, I need to mention this to Alexandre. I got until tomorrow morning.
He did not have until tomorrow morning.
He's gonna stop in just before we leave. It's fine. I'll give her a heads up. We just got to get back to the inn. She's dealing with so much right now. And then so she's just like, damn it.
And I'm just gonna say, and she's and at least one other place has already got food sitting in front of it. Yours, you're guessing because it's your favorite thing for breakfast. Whatever it was, you would have begged your grand-mère to make when you were 11 years old and feeling like crap. There's a heaping pile of it on a plate, and oatmeal is running around in circles on the table.
Spider like puts a hand on her shoulder, nods at her, and then walks off. Because he's got business to do to get the caravan ready.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is where we'll leave it for this week. Ladies and gentlemen, and everybody else in the audience, yeah. So, welcome, have fun. Time for breakfast.
I wish I were less hungry than I am.
I should possibly mention one other detail. She's dressed in traveling clothes.
Why is that funny? Why is that funny? She had to travel to get here.
Were you guys going traveling today?
Mary, you're cramping my style. I can't even crack on to the deity of slaughter without you, like, just showing up. 2 feet between you and slaughter, please. Scramble. You didn't give me a heads up. Why didn't you give me? She got food. There needs to be something about their liking of food. I didn't even use Whisper of the Wild this session.
Nope.
I didn't get to either of my abilities either.
I was sort of waiting in the middle of that scene where when Slaughter actually showed up and started chit-chatting. I was vaguely waiting for the big guns to come out, and you all just kind of sat there vaguely wide-eyed and nothing, and no one touched them. I thought, okay, I'm not reminding you.
I specifically didn't, because from Alexandre's perspective, La Chanson's not there.
Fair enough.
Not that it couldn't be, but it is not at this time. And even if it were, it might be distorted and could be heard by not La Chanson. So she just was like,
Sometimes dialing a friend for help is the same thing as asking for an airstrike on that location. So yeah, let's just not leave that phone. Let's leave that phone on the cradle.
That was her thing. Is like also to what extent, like, is La Chanson an at-risk entity in this situation? Bring it here. Look at my rare child. My very rare object that I have here. Don't smash it. But
oh, good, more champagne.
Sounds like a really bad idea. I don't know if the song.
I offered you a taste of mine. You're not going to offer me a taste of yours. What's this?
So that's it, folks. Thank you so
Yep.
much. That was fun.
Mhm.
Yeah, been looking forward to that scene for a little while.
Mm.
So I wasn't sure if when you got waved up onto the stage if Alexandre would go for it or not, but fantastic time to play the flaw, and the resulting role play was delightful. So thank you so much.
Mhm. It was
Um,
fun.
as always, Jamie, Sam, absolute delight to have you at the table. I love the way you two characterize you bring your characters to life. Just the idea of Mysel going the other one, and Spider going what, that one over there, pointing at somebody else in the crowd. That was just, I love it. I mean, that's just, just played so well. Yeah, thank you so much. You folks are a delight. But that's it for this week. Fingers crossed, we'll be good for next week. And yeah, we will continue on having breakfast with Grammaire Donadieu.
Oh, can I use my Whisper of the Wild?
Yeah, go for it.
Is breakfast poisoned?
No.
Okay, cool. I'm hungry. Okay,
A big
everyone.
pile of comfort food right now wouldn't be a terrible thing.
I think the twins
Right?
would be offended that you'd even ask. Not in our establishment, you don't.
I mean, if the answer is already like, is Gromar going to kill me? Yes. Then at least give me a good meal. Eat me first. Yeah. I'll turn off the stream. But bye everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.